This is the time of the year we start to put a lot of hours into our food plots. A lot of the green plots is what we're putting in now in July, August. Brassica, turnips, rye grain, oats. Things that we can plant this time of the year that grow really fast and are palatable by the time the season comes along, September, October. They'll even last late season, some of those turnips and brassicas, things like that. We're putting in a lot of work right now, a lot of hours trying to prep for the season and really optimize our hunting to line up with our food sources. This year we're doing something a little bit different as far as our green plots go. And right before we till, we want to mow it, cut everything down real short. We don't want that tiller to get all bound up with grass and weeds, things like that. We're going to come back through, till it, all that new growth that we tilled. There's thousands of seeds in that soil base, so when we're tilling it up, they're all becoming exposed, they're starting to grow. We're going to hit them with Roundup 2 weeks later. Kill off everything that's now new growth, let that Roundup dry, and then we're going to broadcast the seed on top and pack it in with the Cultipacker, the Packer Max. So the cool thing about the Packer Max is part of the drum has a design where it has these dips and valleys, and what that does is it packs the seed in, and then it creates these channels that actually trap water and moisture. So if you have a big heavy rain, if you were to use just a normal flat compactor, you can get washout, you can wash the seed out, erosion, so it helps control those two things. And a lot of times you want to actually pack it along the side of the hill to prevent that erosion down the hill too and hold those seeds in place. So pretty simple process, till, wait 2 weeks, spray and plant the same day.
So the food plot strategy is based off of different times of the season, and the deer are jumping from different food sources through the different times of the season. And so early season, they're on that clover, they're on the grasses, they're on that chicory, things like that. And then the late food seasons like your beans, which we really like here in Minnesota because we get a lot of heavy snow and they rely on protein late season. They love the beans early season and they'll keep them from actually growing. Problem with beans is, and the big challenge is, you have to have enough and you have to keep the deer off them and on other things in order for the plots to survive. We're learning on that. This year we decided to put the beans in a food source that deer were coming in and doing kind of a community area, and they got hammered immediately. JJ was bummed out about it and he's like, beans are done, I'm just gonna plow it under. I go, no, let me play around with this. So one would be to put up an electric fence. Well, that's a lot of work and we got way more other work to do, and so we can't put all of our time into doing an electric fence this year. So what I did is I came up with a strategy that was going to be easy to do, and I got some of the deer repellent, diluted it down, sprayed out all the beans. I want them to get just high enough to where they can sustain themselves and they can sustain life as the deer start to nibble on them in the early food source, but yet grow big enough that they have a food source for that late winter. Early in the season, you have to have your late food in early, which is stuff that I'm standing by now, is corn. Strategy for the corn is, once it gets cold, they'll start coming in here and they'll put them carbohydrates in themselves. And the other great thing about corn is it's just an amazing cover source. So it's not just food for the peak hunting season, but it's also great cover for the peak hunting season. So that's the beauty of corn.
So this is our Egyptian wheat. We just use this for a screen. It's a really tall sorghum type plant. Planted every season, so you have to redo it every year. We just use a 10-foot border for security within the plot. So I'm just gonna put it in the hand spreader. I'm just gonna walk the edge and then we'll pack it in on the edge. Bag like this, 50-pound bag, lasts a really long time. We've been using this for a few years and we just gotta keep it dry so the seed remains viable. We put this Egyptian wall in a couple weeks ago. It's basically just a really tall sorghum plant that would create a screen, a visual barrier so deer can feel comfortable inside the plot. So that's the side cover. That's to kind of screen the plot off, make deer feel more comfortable, let them come into these plots during daylight hours, and it just gives us more opportunity to hunt these effectively walking in, exiting the stand, and then also, just more daylight activity from deer with that side cover and that comfort inside the plots. So as part of our plan with AWS coming in and mapping everything out, there's a couple different types of food sources that have strength during different times of the year. So we have green food source, which we're putting in now, July, August, and that'll be strong in that September, October into November timeframe. We also have some grains that are gonna last. We got standing corn, that late season, December, January, when deer just can't find anything. We have 2-3 feet of snow.
So one of our core strategies is when we plant a food source, we do that for a strategic reason. It's more about having diverse foods throughout the property that will allow us to strategize hunting them and keeping them on the property throughout the season. And so if you think of it that way, instead of building massive amount of acres of food to sustain the amount of deer on the land, you're gonna have a lot better hunting if you do it more strategically and put the right amounts in the right places so that you can hunt them strategically throughout the different parts of the season when they're thinking different and when they're traveling different and doing different things.
So over on the Cedar Springs side, some of the food plots we have, we're spacing them out so different mature bucks can use them and feel comfortable and not threatened by one another. So we're spreading them out. We're also putting them in a way where deer can kind of flow around the property, continue moving, continue looking for does during the rut, and just think to yourself, how can I create habitat and food sources to hold as many deer and as many mature bucks as possible by kind of making the property feel a lot bigger than it actually is.
Now, the other important strategy when it comes to putting in food source is to also make sure that you're doing it in a way that you can get in and out of your hunting stands without bumping the deer. And that's extremely important. If you're hunting a stand and you know it's a good stand and you're over hunting it and you don't have cover, the odds of you getting your target buck are extremely limited, because I promise you, you are getting detected going in and going out. So it's very important to have a strategy on how to slide in and out of your stands and keeping that part of your food source planning. Make sure that you have those corridors, that you have those lanes, using Egyptian wheat, using tall corn, or using a back wall of some sort, natural back wall, to get in and out of these stands without being detected. If you're walking through corn or you're walking through a high switchgrass or whatever that visual barrier is that you're using to your advantage, remember, if you leave human odor on the leaves or them corn stalks or on that Egyptian and them deer come through there and they pick up on it, it's just as bad, if not worse, than them seeing you going in and out of your stand. It's gonna drive them out of the area, and it's especially the big mature bucks, you're gonna be done before you start. And so scent control using that phase system, that's why we designed it that way, is to keep that human detection away from the deer, not allowing them to know the human was there. That's what the phase system's all about, and scent control is just insanely important.
As these weeks move on, we're gonna look at these plots, see how they're growing, how can we enhance them. The beans we might actually overseed with some brassicas and turnips to kind of fill in the gaps that didn't turn out so well. So the next few weeks, you're kind of just watching to see how things grow, make adjustments, and kind of get ready for the hunting strategy part of things. We're gonna be hanging our stands here real soon, and then get ready, just kind of stay out of these areas and let deer start using them.